Welcome back to Bible and Blues. I am your host, Cameron. Today we're going to be reading chapter 17 of Rooms. In this chapter, we're going to find out a little bit more of the voice. Micah is going to kind of get into the concept of going to church and being with Rick. When we left Micah, he had just discovered a new room, and this new room had a voice in it and claimed to be him. And it's going to be kind of cool exploring that I think. So we've been checking out some of the other stuff that's been going on. Why don't you go ahead and check, if you haven't, I have an entire playlist of this right here. It's just something different. Not many people do this kind of thing, and I'm not sure if it's going to take off, but I'm going to keep doing it. We're about a third of the way through the book, and we're just going to keep going. So, without further ado, chapter 17 of Rooms by James Rubart. But Micah didn't tell Rick about the voice. He went with him to his church the next evening, and afterward the mechanic suggested they grab a late dinner at the lumber yard. Micah avoided the question. He was still thinking about church. Every time during the service that Micah thought about describing the voice to Rick, dread washed over him. Twice, when he turned to tell his friend, a palpable tension shot through his back, leaving the instant he decided not to tell. How much clearer could it get? It wasn't the right timing. No question. And Micah didn't feel like making small talk. The rooms, the weird things disappearing in Seattle, even the stock dropping was strange. But talking to yourself? He needed to call it what it was. He was hearing voices. Maybe he was losing it. Archie could have been schizo and somehow rigged the house to trigger the same thing in Micah. Maybe it was time to sell the place and get back to reality. But there was Sarah. And maybe God was in control. As long as Micah could avoid facing whatever was more painful than the memory of his mom's death, he'd stay. So you're going to join me? Rick said. Nah, early day tomorrow. Getting up with the market, eh? Does anything get past you? Micah shook his head and smiled. I just want to keep an eye on the stock tomorrow. Last week wasn't enough? Rick threw his arm around Micah's shoulders as they walked through a syrupy fog toward their cars. I'm just teasing. I'd feel the same way in your shoes. But Rick wasn't in his moccasins. And Micah didn't like the idea of going through his life barefoot. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday all followed the same pattern. Stress about the stock price. Check it incessantly. Check the charts one more time to confirm it never traded as high as 83. Stress some more. On Wednesdays, computer chimed. Three times with a reminder message. Task. Read Archie's next letter. Yes. Time for his weekly blast from the past. Michael flopped down on the couch in front of his fireplace and opened the cherry red shoebox in which he'd placed all of Archie's letters. He lifted the next envelope off the top of the stack and tore it open. February 10th, 1991. He was 10 years old when Archie wrote it. Still too weird. Dear Micah, I hope you're liking the house. Perhaps that's not the correct word. More accurately, I pray the house is making you face yourself and that you're on the path towards restoration. I pray you are not allowing this to occur. The home will challenge. I pray you are allowing this to occur. The home will challenge, encourage, and stretch you to your limits. In all probability, this comes as no surprise to you. However, if you think you have encountered a number of strange and unexplainable incidents up until this point, it would be less than fair if I did not alert you that stranger things are still forthcoming. Great. Bizarro home gets even stranger. You can hardly wait. With that admonition in the forefront of your mind, let me also assure you once again that God is sovereign and in control, and I have prayed for and about this home for many years. However, this does not mean there are no dangerous places within the house. There are. This simply illustrates the truth that from time to time we have to be placed in precarious places to learn the lessons God is teaching. Your great uncle and fervent supporter, Archie. He put down the letter. Why couldn't Archie write a letter simply saying, God is good, the past is over, the future is bright, and it's going to be a fun week? Micah's nerves were ready to snap from watching the stock bounce up and down all week. He didn't need another lesson right now. He needed to relax. That night, Micah sat on his deck trying to take his mind off the house, the stock, where his life was headed, and lingering thoughts of Julie. He had to talk to her. She answered on the second ring. Hi. What are you doing? Why are you calling, Micah? I want to know where we're at. Shouldn't that be my question? He leaned his head back and clacked the front of his teeth together. I hate it when you do that. Sorry. Micah stared out at the ocean. I can't imagine a business partner who would be better for me. Your intuitive business sense makes mine look like a first grader. You don't let a relationship get in the way of our making money. You shut up, Micah. Why don't you just say it? That we're over? You're the one who said goodbye. I still had a tiny bit of hope. Now you're going to snuff that out, aren't you? No. Yes, you are. I am not. Micah ground his knuckles into the deck's railing. Fine. So you tell me where you want us to be. I don't know. That doesn't mean we're over. Micah closed his eyes. We're on hold. On hold? Still? Maybe you're on pause, but I'm not. I just need... Listen, I'm done with us. For good. Since you don't seem to have the spine for it, let me do the honors. It's over. The line went dead. Perfect. That would make life more fun. Micah stared at the waves, trying to figure out if what had just happened was good, bad, or somewhere in between. Micah headed for the media room. He needed something to get his brain off everything. He clicked through his cable choices and settled on an R-rated movie so full of violence and gore that it probably should have been rated NC-17. Yes, it was garbage. But he didn't care. The escape from his anxiety was worth it. He went to bed the moment the movie finished and lay rubbing the back of his neck till his fingers ached. Maybe not worth it. His legs twitched. The blankets pressed down on him like thin sheets of concrete. All night he wrestled with troubled dreams. Friday morning, a light flickered on in his head as he realized how to remove his worry over the stock. Stop orders. He would put a stop order on all his shares at 10% less than their current trading price. If the unexplainable happened again, the stop order would execute, and instantly he would have all his shares in cash. With a drop in value, but with a 10% drop, wins over a 25% loss. Or who knows how much more every time. By 11 a.m., he finished entering the stop orders. Good timing. At 11:15, his computer's reminder alarm chimed. Bike ride with Sarah. His heart picked up, and that was before he got on his bike. They met in front of Osborne's and headed north. They decided to ride up past Ecola to Indian Beach and watch the surfers navigate the Pacific swells. By the time they got to the T in the road that would take them further up to Indian Beach, Michael was sucking in deep gulps of air. Not Sarah. If she'd lost any of her Olympic athlete conditioning, he couldn't see it. After they arrived and picked a spot on the windswept bluff overlooking the waves, Sarah said, "What are your plans once you're done down here?" "I don't know when I'll be done." Micah plucked some long grass around them and threw them like darts. "That's not what I asked." "Yes, I know." Micah smiled, but she didn't return it. To buy time, he got up, walked back to his bike, and grabbed his water bottle. He took a deep draw of water and squinted at the sun, playing hide-and-seek with the clouds. Just before he sat next to Sarah, the sun jumped out, as bright as it had been so far that day. "Want to walk on the beach?" Mike asked. "Sure." They were on their way down to the little beach, full of boulders the size of Volkswagen Beetles. The tide was out, but even so, there was little room to maneuver around them. "Ever done a long bike ride?" Sarah asked. "Define long." "More than 100 miles in a day." "No. We should do the STP together." Michael raised both eyebrows as he stepped over a cluster of small rocks. "The Seattle to Portland bike race? One day, 200 miles. Of course, a lot of people split it in two," Sarah said. "And we do it in one or two?" She waved her index finger in front of her face. "Oh, wow. You mean I'd have to get in shape?" "That's the problem I have, too." They padded farther down the beach. "Sorry for avoiding the question earlier," Micah said. "I don't have a clue what my plans will be once I'm done down here. I suppose I'll go back to Seattle and come down here 3 or 4 times a year for vacation. Relax, get perspective. You have any better ideas?" He said it with a lighthearted spin, hoping to bring a bit of playfulness to the conversation. It didn't work. "You wouldn't like my suggestion." "I'd love it." "No, you wouldn't." "Try me." He wiggled the fingers of both his hands, inviting her to ask the question. "You're sure?" Micah nodded, even though he wasn't sure, a queasy feeling growing in his stomach. "I think you should start a plan right now to get things right with your dad." "Oh boy, here it comes." "How is that supposed to work?" "I have no relationship with my dad. I don't want one. He doesn't want one. Done. Over. End of plan. Sarah put on her sunglasses. You don't need a relationship with him to take care of what you need to take care of. Oh, really? So tell me, Watson, what is this mysterious thing I need to fix? Sarah gazed up at him. Forgive him for whatever it is he's done. Micah rolled his eyes. You ought to write a book, Cannon Beach Conspiracy. How an ordinary software businessman was ambushed into dredging up his dead and buried past. The problem? It was still very much alive. Micah sidestepped a wave that the incoming tide sent further up the beach than his cousins. I'm sorry, I said too much. Sarah pivoted and shuffled down the beach. Bullseye. Way too much. But he'd asked for it. She stood 20 yards away, the wind ruffling her hair, obscuring her face, then blowing it free a second later. As he approached her, Sarah turned toward the sun, and tears trickled out from under her sunglasses. Micah didn't speak until 7 waves had rushed up the sand, then retreated back to the surf. You okay? She didn't respond. Wants to talk about it? She sniffed and laughed at the same time. He reached into his shorts pocket, found the softness of a light blue tissue, and pulled it out. She took it from him. Why am I crying, right? The question wasn't directed at him, but the answer was. She glanced at Micah before turning back toward the white-flecked waves that pounded the sand. Because I've been praying for you and your choices for many years. She walked back toward their bikes. As they ambled down the sand together, the rays of late afternoon sun danced on her hair, turning it golden. He knew she meant months, so he waited for her to correct herself, but she didn't. Months, he said softly. You meant many months. Her face flushed. She stopped, looked at him for a moment, then hiked away. No, she called without turning around. I meant years. Here ends chapter 17. So, spend some time. He's got a lot of questions going on, and seems like he's being pushed towards, of course, confronting his dad and discussing that and making things right with his dad. He doesn't have a very good relationship with his dad. I'm actually pretty blessed. I have a pretty good relationship with my dad, and I like to think I have an okay relationship with my boys. More so with my 14-year-old than my older one. My older one's he's busy with his life. It's kind of hard to push him into it. But we definitely don't have. None of us have the rift that we see here, and so he's getting pushed into that. So that should be an interesting thing to have happen. He is going to church. He's going to church with his friend Rick, which is cool. We can appreciate that. He seems to at least find some peace with the stock market. So anyway, that is the end of chapter 17. What did you think? How does this make you feel? How's your relationship with your father? Would this be a strain on you? If somebody said something like this, we're going to find out more about this, praying for years thing. I have an idea of what it is, but maybe you do too. But we're going to find out what's going on later on. Anyway, God bless. You have a great time, and I will talk to you later. God bless.